What do we got going on here, guys? We got some cocktails, huh?
Caipirinha.
What do we got here?
Yeah, close enough.
Well, hello and aloha. We are here for another edition of Welcome to Rum. Today finds us in Gig Harbor at the home bar of our friend Stephen Coran here. This is the Twa Walcott Rocking Jellyfish Lounge, correct?
That's right.
And those of you that follow Tiki with Ray, you've been here a few times already, and I'm sure you'll be back again. Today we are we're still in the rum family, but we're dealing with a spirit called Cachaça. It's a spirit of Brazil. And neither Ray or I have a whole lot of experience with it, aside from maybe a trip to Fogo de Chao or Texas de Brazil now and again. But our friend Stephen has quite a bit more knowledge on it, or at least more experience. And one more time, understand we are welcome to rum. We are not rum school. There's nobody sitting at this bar today who has any kind of degree or formal education in distillery or spirits. We're just enthusiasts. So we're going to try some things. We're going to talk about some things. We're going to see what we like, maybe make some suggestions. But we are not by any means experts.
Well, speak for yourself, Jason. I am an expert. So today, guys, we're going to be talking about the rum. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, I did 1 hour of research last night, so maybe I am an expert.
I did no hours of research.
I could say you're about 15. You're about 45 minutes ahead of me. I pretty much read the labels, and yeah.
But I will say this though: if this was Brazilian steaks, then I would be a master because.
And you'd have a better chance of pronouncing them too.
Meat in Brazil, that's right.
Yeah, if we were talking about the picanhas as opposed to cachachas, I'd know my stuff. But I haven't. So is this a rum?
Ooh, there's the sticky wicket #1.
Really?
Yeah,
It's that.
It has been that, believe it or not, controversial in the United States and maybe some other countries, because up until 2013, I think it was sold as a rum. But if you ask any Brazilian and the people who make it, because this is a Brazilian liquor, right, that it's its own thing. I think the best way
its own spirit.
Its own spirit, but it's very similar to rum, and especially rum agricole, which is the second thicket we'll get ourselves into, is the comparison and differences between those two. So in some sense it's a rum, and some it isn't. I call it a cousin to rum. In the United States they still sell it as rum, but there's some international treaty or understanding that cachaça is its own thing, much like, right, say, cognac is its own thing now.
Yeah, it's not just a region, it's a national spirit of the nation or the country of Brazil. So if it doesn't have an origin in Brazil, it's not supposed to be called cachaça. Right. Kind of like agricole is supposed to come from Martinique. Even if it's produced the same way someplace else, Martinique is supposed to be agricole.
But also it's its own unique, as we'll get into, taste and texture. But because it uses sugar cane, much like a rum agricole, and it has a lot of similarities, that a lot of people have called it a rum. But again, I call it cachaça, we call it cachaça. It's its own thing from Brazil. But because of the relationship with rum, that was why I think, Jason, you wanted us to talk about this spirit and some of its uses and its taste.
So it all comes from sugar cane, whether it's refined or unrefined. So the British and Spanish versions of rum are generally made from molasses, which is a byproduct of refining sugarcane into table sugar, which was, the major colonial powers, that's what got them interested in the Caribbean. So that's where all the planting down there, and Brazil is kind of an offshoot. Correct me if I'm wrong, Brazil, was that originally Dutch settlers? Maybe?
Portuguese, because that's why they speak Portuguese.
I'm saying it was Portuguese.
That's why it's not originally. It's not Spanish. Well, that's why they speak Portuguese. In terms of colonial exploration and expansion.
I read some theories claiming that rum started in the Caribbean based on Dutch settlers resettling in the Caribbean, that it picked up rum making or sugarcane spirit making from Brazil, but I don't know how much of that is true and how much of it is just something I read on the internet.
The other thing is rum and cachaça and rum agricole, the proponents and historians of cachaça have claimed that cachaça predates rum agricole. Whether it predates all rum, I'm not sure. So it's maybe contemporaneous with that. So they all kind of came about within the same.
Can you only get it from Brazil?
To call it cachaça.
That it's made in Brazil, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But is there a spirit that is this essentially from somewhere else and it's called something different? Or is that just rum then?
There may be, but I don't know.
So but what you're saying is this is going to taste similar to agricole?
No.
No.
This is what's interesting. The processing is, so we'll get into that sort of interesting but a little complex topic. So it is processed sugarcane. The cachaça is only distilled once. It can be aged or unaged. Usually when it's aged, it's not necessarily an oak. A few people for export do it in oak. But it can be a lot of Brazilian woods, which impart a lot of flavor. And they don't age it as long as a rum agricole. Rum agricole is much more rounded and has that a little molasses.
So when you say processed, I thought they used a raw cane press.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, but processed usually
with rum, it's distilled once.
Right.
The process being distilled once.
Gotcha.
There's not multiple distillations.
Right. Usually in rum, when you're saying processing, it means when you take the sugar cane and convert it to table sugar and you end up with molasses, and that's considered processing. But you're talking about pressing the raw sugar cane to get the juice out of it, then fermenting the juice.
But a single distillation, let's put it that way.
Right. That makes sense.
Is this only used to make a cocktail with, or is this any of these you sip at all?
So in the United States and maybe other countries, we usually have it in the drink of Brazil, the cocktail of Brazil, the caipirinha.
Caipirinha. I'm not even sure what it is. I know that I've heard it several ways.
The caipirinha is basically muddled sugar and limes, and we're gonna taste a few of these silver in those in the second half of the show today. It has a lot of uses in cocktails. In Brazil, you have to realize Brazil has 2/3 the population of the United States and is bigger than the continental United States. And this is their national liquor, right? You know, much like vodka is to Russia or tequila is to Mexico,
right,
or bourbon is to the US. This is, but even more so, this is their national liquor. So there are, maybe thousands, at least more than 1,000 types, from homemade to very processed pot or column distilled liquor. And there are sippers and there are cocktail makers. A lot like rum, we sort of categorize a lot of it that way.
Right. What I'd learned about rum was that there was a time where in the Caribbean and the upper coast of South America, there, let's say Guyana, for instance, that at one time there were hundreds or possibly even thousands of small distilleries everywhere. But that over time, rum has come down to, much larger manufacturers and much less small family things. But from what I understand, in Brazil, there's still hundreds of small makers, small batch makers. Sure. Yep. And that one of the big differences is that rum and agricole rum tends to usually be aged in oak, whereas there's something like 30 or more different woods that, depending on what region of Brazil, because it's such a large area, and the terroir can change so much north to south, east to west, etc., etc. So depending on what the indigenous woods are, it will be this region is known for this flavor, this region is known for that flavor, and that they can, aside from being vegetal or grassy, that they can have a very botanical or almost flowery taste.
There's a mapa da cachaça you can find online, and it is a wheel with all the different.
What is it?
Mapa da cachaça.
But that's how they say
cachaça
it. But that's how they say it over there, though.
Yeah,
and that's exactly how they say it. Exactly like that.
No.
Mapa de.
No way. Again, Portuguese, not my long suit.
Today we're drinking caipirinhas.
Yeah, exactly. I gotta. My wife was trying to drill it into me this morning. This is how you say it, and I go, going to screw it all up.
You just have notes there, like it's like phonetic.
Yeah. Exactly.
Also, looking at these and trying to read through the label, so all of these are right around 40%. I think one of them is at 42%, one's at 38% alcohol. So nothing that's overproof. From what I read, generally cachaça tends to be between like 38 and 48%, as opposed to rum usually being distilled at a higher alcohol by volume and then stepped down.
So rum agricole is going to be distilled at maybe what, 70% ABV.
A lot of
volume.
rums are much higher alcohol by volume, than they step it down by adding water.
This is going to be done by, what did you say? I think that's right,
38 to 48 is I think what I read.
And I think that's the standard by the guidelines that Brazil has for cachaça.
And several of these bottles, the white ones, mention resting in a steel tank, which is kind of an odd term.
So they don't necessarily age it in
right.
In woods, and it's generally aged less than the
right.
rums.
The two that you notice that have a little more color to them, they are both aged in wood, which helps impart that color.
Yeah, and the cachaça map, you can find it online, and I looked at it a few times. It's interesting because it groups the sort of quality or the flavors and scents of the cachaças, and it's a big wheel. And so, as Jason said, the ones I'm familiar with all seem to me very, and these are all the only ones I'm familiar with, I'm not familiar with a lot, but, are all very sort of grassy, floral, some a little more floral, not as much as a gin, but or the, you know.
But they're going to reflect the soil and the climate of the region they come from.
And so what that map tells you is that when you look and you're in Brazil or you have access to many of them, the flavors and scents are going to be more varied, maybe as much or more so than even rums in terms of their taste. So it's a very, not only versatile for cocktails, but also for those that are sippers, very different types. So it's a very complex spirit. So it's really hard to oversimplify what it is, at least in my very limited experience.
So Jason volunteered.
Yeah, I am effectively the canary in the coal mines here. So hopefully
to literally try these straight and see what you think of them. And then what we're going to do is you're going to pick the 3 ones you would want us to make the cocktail with.
Well, my understanding is, so the caipirinha is generally made with a white or unaged or very lightly aged or rested cachaça. So we'll choose between, we've got 4 whites here and 2 that are aged in wood barrels. So I'm curious to compare those, but I don't think we're going to be doing a caipirinha. The caipirinha is what you planned on us doing.
Yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to have 3 each of caipirinha, and we're going to just run a little experiment and a little bit of a taste test to see how we like it, because I'm not going to prejudge your tasting them straight. There are a couple here that
You're not going to judge Jason.
I'm not going to join
him.
I've tried it once and that's enough. But yet in a cocktail, they can and will be workable and versatile. So
Jason,
good luck.
Good luck.
So there's only 2 of us.
Which one are you going to start with first?
So I'm hoping to have the not so little liver that could, and I'm going to start where I think it's going to be the harshest, and I'm thinking the 51. It's between the 51 and I think that's P2. So let's
Pichu, yeah.
Pichu.
I don't know.
Pichu. Yeah. Okay.
We're gonna have all the Portuguese speakers come down on our.
There's a lot of people in Brazil. They're just like doing this thing.
So we're gonna start.
Those Americans.
They already did it when they started the video.
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna start with the 51, and before I take
you're gonna start with the 51, Jason, and we're gonna watch you.
No, we're all doing this together. I'm the only one that's actually taking
As I said,
it in.
if there are only 2 of us left
You're
in the
here for
second half
support.
of the video, you know why.
So this is the 51 Cachaça. This is a spirit of Brazil, sugarcane spirit. It says finest quality and a product of Brazil. We're at 40% alcohol by volume. This one, I have a feeling it's going to be a little more on the harsh side because it says the perfect taste and aroma for the original Brazilian caipirinha and for your favorite cocktails. But it doesn't give any flowery language about what the nose or the palate or the finish is going to be like. So I'm thinking harsh.
Well, it says it right here. This is going to be harsh.
There you go.
I'm counting on that.
But the other thing, too,
I can smell it from here, Jason.
I don't know how many, if any of these are popular in Brazil. A lot of these, I think, are for the export.
Well, any of our Brazilian watchers out there on YouTube, let us know. Let us know what your favorite is.
I can tell you, it has a scent like a less aged, like an unaged or less aged agricole, and actually, even what is it? Rum Barbancourt from Haiti has a similar smell to me. All right, let's give this a shot.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
Not nearly as harsh as I thought it would be.
Okay.
It's actually got a little flavor on it.
Does it taste
How
like agricole?
much-
Does it taste like agricole?
It's got a very, very mild taste to it that I can't quite place. I expected something a lot more harsh.
Not the burn is not as much.
I've got a warmth going down, but it didn't burn when it immediately hit.
I mean, do you like it though?
I don't think I would drink it straight just because it's not flavorful.
Okay.
I don't. Vodkas and gins with very little flavor to them, I'm not that interested in. So I'm sure that imparts something in a cocktail, but I'm not getting any kind of particularly strong fruit or anything off of it. It tastes like a very mild agricole, maybe.
Okay.
With kind of a warm burn going down, but not harsh or uncomfortable.
Okay. So
yeah, I'm actually very surprised because that was the one that honestly worried me the most, being as I don't have a whole lot of experience with cachaça, and the labeling there didn't lead me to believe I would get much out of that.
So you're gonna do this one next, right?
We'll do this guy
You want
next.
to bring it over here?
Sure. Actually, let me get the shot close to me. Let me get a little water in
And
first.
this one says, if you thought the first cachaça was harsh, wait till you try this one. See, it says right there.
Well, it's got a shrimp on the front, so I should like that.
Like that aftertaste of seafood. And
That's great.
Let me see that for just a second. So once again, this guy is.
It tastes like shrimp.
It's got a bit of a crab, crab on the tongue.
If you like Red Lobster.
So yeah, it's a Brazil denomination of origin cachaça, alcohol 40% by volume, sugarcane spirit, of course, and let me get that where I can actually read it. It's the famous Pichu cachaça is an authentic Brazilian spirit, perfect in all fruit drinks, especially the world famous caipirinha. And then it goes on to tell you how to prepare, but it's not giving you any. It's not giving you any notes on what you're supposed to taste.
I wonder if it's
we'll see what
also
happens
been
here.
rusted in steel as opposed to wood.
All right.
Let's get Mikey to eat it. Mikey.
He likes it.
He likes it.
That's a little sharper on the nose there, because the 51 was very smooth at first, then warm going down. But this has less heat going down.
Okay.
So this one's stronger.
This has more immediate flavor to it. This one, the Pichu, has more immediate, like a taste or flavor to it that actually maybe a little bit more like a gin to me, honestly.
Oh, okay.
So really,
Is
this one tastes more closer to an agricole. This one tastes more closer to a
Yeah,
gin.
this is just
They're that different.
This,
They're that much
this
different?
barely has had an agricole, like a very mild grassy taste to it, but a pronounced warmth going down, not so much a burn.
But both of
this
these
was a lot smoother going down, but has a sharper flavor.
But
immediately.
both of them still taste like a cachaça. Like they're you can tell that they're related.
Yeah, okay. I would say
They're
that.
not that different.
Right.
Okay.
We'll do the Avoir next. Why don't you go ahead and read that, Ray?
Discover Avoir Cachaça.
All right.
From your first inviting sip, which is complex and lasting. And the complex and lasting are in all caps.
That's good to know.
To the end of your glass, you'll savor the adventure of discovering the Rio that stretches from the 1950s birth of Bossa Nova to the magnificent vistas visible from the beach of Copacabana and embraces the warmth and passion, all in caps, of Brazil's people.
Well, I like the marketing, but it doesn't tell us anything about what we're drinking.
I think that...
I don't know that I can taste the Bossa Nova on that.
I could smell it. Is it strong? Is the strongest one yet?
As far as how strong, it's somewhere between the first two. It's got a flavor more similar to the second one that I tried, the Pichu there.
Is it more complex or not?
I'll go with the complex.
Complex. So it is complex.
I
Would you say it's complex in all caps?
Maybe a capital C. I don't know about all caps.
You get the C, the C-O-M, and then that's it.
yeah.
I'm not sure I would bold it exactly.
No.
It has kind of a, I don't know if this makes any sense, like a thicker mouthfeel to it. Like it feels more substantial drinking it.
Were these thinner?
Yes.
Okay. I
Thinner. When I've tasted them, those two were thinner and harsher. I
It is
felt
very
a little
smooth.
more burn than you did. This one I felt smoother, and frankly, these two I feel are more complex.
Yeah,
like I
this
said,
definitely
mouthfeel.
has a smoother finish.
Yeah.
So the Avoir definitely has the
Yeah.
smoother finish of them.
And in terms of price point, I think we're probably going up the scale more or less.
Yes.
These two, I'm not sure which is more expensive, but These two, which again may be made for export, I'm not sure, are more expensive than the first two tried.
So the silver Novo Fogo here, this one is, I believe, also a 40%, or was this the 38%? We are at 40% alcohol by volume, and this one, Ray, I know does have some tasting notes on the back, so if you want to at least read that part, so I know what to expect going in here.
It says the nose, banana blossoms, palate, sweet red peppers, citrus, sea salt. The finish is clean cane and short. So let's see what...
You never want to brag about a short finish,
But
Ray.
it says here, find your Brazilian Zen.
Okay.
And the next one down, it says, learn to speak Brazilian correctly.
Yeah, well, good luck.
So I do get a hint of banana.
You do.
Well, I do get a hint of banana when I first taste it.
Yeah.
And then it just, a little bit of like a kind of a, almost like a salty tropical flavor, and then it just kind of drops off. So maybe that's what the short finish is.
Yeah. Is it smoother or than the others or not? Since it's got a shorter finish.
It's got a more pronounced flavor than the Avoir, but very, very smooth.
Is it
Has almost no burn on it.
Is it the only one that has the banana notes in it?
It's by far the fruitiest of the ones that I've tasted so far.
Now I'm curious to see how the aged Novo Fogo is going to taste.
All right, what do we got going over here? So this one is also 40% alcohol by volume.
I'll read you the
There's
notes.
your tasting notes,
Yeah.
or my tasting
It'd be
notes, rather.
interesting
Okay, so
what woods they...
So the nose is toffee. The palate is banana bread and spices. The finish is dark chocolate.
Oh, this sounds exciting.
Do they say what wood they use? Because again, as we discussed in Brazil, they use lots of different...
Oak barrels.
Yes.
Oak, okay. So oak
This,
is...
and it says this is the Brazilian South signature's taste.
Interesting.
It says, I think it says repurposed oak barrels, which I don't, that would mean that they were used for another product before that. So I'm wondering if they were used for whiskey or bourbon previously.
It says here, oak barrels found in an old Goodwill.
Exactly.
Or St. Vincent's de Paul. Right there. And this one says, find your own Brazilian Zen, too.
All right.
So oak is not as common.
But it does say here, try it in variations of the classic old-fashioned.
So that would explain the repurposed.
In a Manhattan. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
So that would lead me to believe that it was some form of whiskey barrels, especially because they're repurposed and oak is not a native. It's not something that would be common. So my guess is that they purchased used oak barrels to age it in, and that's going to impart a different
I wonder if
sort of
this is
flavor.
going to be
So
closer
just describing
to
it,
rum.
I mean, if they're selling it so far, I mean, I haven't been drinking these with you, but I'm guessing that this might be the best one yet.
Well,
I guess we'll
find
find
out.
out.
Cheers.
Welcome to rum. Is there a traditional cheer?
Yeah, there
Brazilian?
is. We're going to have to look it up because...
I would be ready for that.
well, every time I've learned the traditional cheer, all my brain cells were depleted after drinking, so I forgot.
So just a simple welcome to rum. Let's see how it goes.
It's a salut of Portuguese.
So yeah, the toffee's not lying. I'm not catching the banana bread, but then I've tasted several different things, even with water between.
Yeah.
If anything, the finish might be... I might get a slightly harsher finish than I do off the silver, which surprises me.
Yeah.
But there's a little more flavor on the nose of it, so...
Well, that would be expected. Do you get the oak? A little more closer to rum? I'm not that.
Yeah, it does. It does. It's a little bit like a mild rye whiskey.
Okay. Well, and they said it's usable in a Manhattan, so
Yeah.
there you go.
So that would make
That
sense.
would-
But
yeah.
yeah, the toffee, caramel, maybe a little bit of chocolate. I'm not really getting the banana bread, but that could just be my palate.
But this is the most different compared to the other three so far. Is this its
think so.
own flavor?
I think so. So far, between the two Novos are the ones that I've thought I'd actually taste more of that to try and figure out what I'm tasting. Okay. So I purposely did small taste because there's a bunch of them we have more to do.
The two Novos drastically.
They stand
taste
out,
different.
yes.
Okay.
And the last one is one that I picked up on a trip down in Portland, and I thought it was interesting. It was aged in cherry casks. It gave a year of 2014, saying that it was aged 2 years in Brazilian cherry, which is Ambarana or Ambarana casks, which is the Brazilian cherry tree.
which I'm glad we haven't aged in a Brazilian wood as opposed to oak. Oh, no, seriously, because again, not all cachaças are aged or aged in wood, but it's nice to have one in a Brazilian so that we can compare. So I've never tried this one.
This one is also 42% by volume, and it was the label on this that got my interest. Aged 2 years in a lightly charred Ambarana cask, Brazilian cherry, slight vanilla balanced by tree-ripened pear and cherry and banana nose, warm, rich touch of citrus, plus herbal and floral notes. That's a lot going on.
Yeah.
The finish.
So what they're saying is it's going to taste like Fruit Loops.
It's going to be a whole basket. It's going to be a whole basket of stuff. The finish yields a unique spicy sensation of vanilla, anise, cinnamon, and a soft yellow tone. I hope that's not like soft yellow snow.
So this is either going to taste amazing or taste terrible.
Or it's going to be like too much going on at one time. And then it says simply the best.
Well,
all
right,
you're going to be
drum roll,
you're going to be the judge of this one, Jason.
Yeah.
All right, let's see where this goes.
Down your throat.
I'm definitely getting like that warm cinnamon near the end of it. That's really interesting. So, Stephen, I know you don't normally drink these straight, but I think that's one you might want to.
Oh yeah, no, the age.
You might want to give that one a taste.
So it's good.
Yeah.
Straight.
So this is actually the only one that you would say is worth sipping straight.
That genuinely appeals to me.
Okay.
I'm not getting all the various fruitiness, but that sort of warm cinnamon and vanilla at the end is really
interesting.
I like
get
that.
The cinnamon and the vanilla. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is interesting because you got cinnamon and vanilla, then you got banana bread, toffee, and chocolate, and then
It's based on the different regions, the different climates, how long it's rested for, whether it's in wood or steel.
So having tasted 6 of them, 2 of them with some unique characteristics, would you all say that they were the same liquor if you were doing a blindfold taste?
Not by the end, no.
Really?
Not by the end, no.
Fascinating.
Like I would have thought this guy right here, the 51. I would have thought that was maybe a vodka. I would have thought the Pichu was perhaps a gin. This I would have thought a mild maybe rye whiskey.
Interesting.
A rye whiskey.
Yeah, because it's not sweet enough to be a bourbon. I'm not really a Scotch drinker, so I can't really say it's a Scotch.
But I get the vegetable notes in all of these, though. But the grasses, although I haven't tried this last one.
And this actually, if you've ever had Fireball, this is what I imagine Fireball would taste like if it wasn't a bad idea.
Okay. That's a backhanded compliment if I ever heard one.
Jason, which 3 are we going to make these cocktails with? What your choice? Since you actually tasted them straight.
Moment of truth.
Let's so we're going to stick to the silvers for that, I think, because I think they're the best suited for being in a cocktail. Okay. So let's knock out the 51 because
not use it.
Yeah, we'll knock that one out and we'll use the other 3.
Cool.
Okay.
So
we're going to have this one?
Yes, the Pichu, the Avoir, and the Novo Fogo.
Yeah.
All right.
Novo Fogo Silver.
So Steven's going to go and make these for us.
Well, before he does that, I guess when he comes back, we'll explain how they're put together. That makes more sense.
Yeah, we'll do that.
We'll explain.
I'm not making the best decisions at this time.
Yeah, why don't you explain how they make the cocktail right now, Jason?
Yeah.
You put the cachaça in the... Hey gang, we'll get back to the Tiki conversation here in just a second, but I want to let y'all know they have t-shirts for sale. They are screen printed in America. The artist is Tony Canepa, and they're going for $20 a piece, $25 including shipping. If you're interested in buying one, go to my website, tikiwithray.com, and then there's a tab that says buy a t-shirt. Click on there and just follow the prompts. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I guess welcome back to Welcome to Rum.
Yeah, so
it's time to see what how these cachaças we've been talking about perform in a cocktail.
Yeah.
And so you've prepared the same cocktail, which is the, however you pronounce it, caipirinha, or however, the national cocktail of Brazil. So tell us a little bit about how you prepared this, what goes into it.
So basically, it's a real complicated recipe. It's limes, sugar, muddled, ice, cachaça. Simple. We're going to stick with the Brazilian basics, and let's taste them and see what we think. Cheers.
All right, so we're starting off to the left here. Or our left. Smooth, refreshing.
I can taste the alcohol. It's not overpowering though.
No.
It.
So what I find really interesting is this is the basic trinity that forms the basis of tiki cocktails, the rum, lime, sugar. That you go from island to island around the Caribbean. You've got your tea punch, you've got your daiquiri, your planter's punch, all essentially different formulations of rum, lime, sugar, different presentation.
It's definitely tart.
Yeah.
Tart.
Well, the lime and the lime muddle is tart. So a lot of it depends on the limes, and in Brazil they have different forms of lime. I use Persian and key lime to take a little of the tart away. The Brazilian, usually they like it very sweet. This is on the sweet side, but not as sweet. But
Well, yeah, this would normally, you'd be drinking this in a very warm, very humid climate.
But I think the alcohol complements the tartness pretty well on this first one anyway.
But it reminds me very much of a shaken daiquiri.
So let's try this second.
Number two?
Number two.
It's smoother.
Yeah, but it's more
tart. It goes down easier. Yet it is a little tart.
This one has a bit of a salty vibe to it, too.
Salty.
Brackish.
To me, it's a little tart. I don't taste the cachaça though. I want that underlying note, and in A, I got that underlying note, and B,
yeah, there is like a salt that's in it.
It's very drinkable, but I don't think it's a unique cocktail. It's not.
Was it the Nova Fogo Silver that I got a little bit of that off of when I sampled it?
I guess we'll find out, right?
And actually, now that I'm tasting it, it's tart and it's stronger than I thought. On first sip, second sip, I'm tasting an alcohol, but I could not. If you put this for me blind, I wouldn't know what alcohol it is. Whereas in the first one, that was a cachaça to me.
Yeah.
So I prefer A, but.
So to me, A was milder, B was more flavorful. I actually enjoyed B a little bit more.
Oh, really? I enjoyed A more.
To me, B seemed more substantial. It was the one that I wanted to take another sip of right away.
I was the opposite. I was A because I got the note of what, at least to an American who drinks the exporter version of a cachaça, and it was less tart. So it's funny. We sort of have different tastes on that one.
Let's try this.
On to Charlie, huh?
This is the best one. I think I like this one the best because it's a combination of the two.
I agree.
There's a tartness to it, but it's good. It's smoother. It's still salty, but it's not as salty as the middle one.
Yeah, I C by far. It's in some ways it's stronger, but not in a bad way. The alcohol. The cachaça notes are not as strong as A, but they're there. Whereas in B, I felt them missing. It's tart, but unlike B, which I found too tart, it just brought out too much of the lime. This one has just got the right.
Yeah, B I don't even like. I'll be honest, I don't like B. I like C the best.
I like A, and I really like C personally.
So yeah, I would go C, B, A as far as any of these three. If I were to get them out, I'd probably get a second one without any question. But I thought that B was more flavorful than A to me. A was the mildest of them. C, I think, hit a very nice balance. So I think C was, to me, the one that I think hit the notes the best.
C was by far the best. I'm not a big fan of B either. It was just too.
It don't taste.
It wasn't.
Like I said, I tend to like it. I tend to like my drinks a little bit more on the bold side.
Yeah, it was bold, but it was tart. If you like tart, bold. But if you want a unique alcohol flavor, it didn't have it to me. It could have been a many alcohols, whereas A and C were cachaça base. You could tell. I could tell. And C is the best. It's between the two. I agree with you guys.
I agree. So I go, C is my favorite, A being the second, and the third one being B, but I don't even like.
So
I like C, I like A.
So Stephen, give us the big reveal.
All right, the big reveal is I labeled these, but I mixed them up. Okay, here we go. Number A.
Really?
Nova Fogo.
Because I thought B was the Fogo.
No, Nova Fogo Silver, and like I say, it's got to me a classic. But now I've only tasted fewer than a dozen cachaças. To me, a classic cachaça. I thought it worked really well.
So kind of the mildest and smoothest of the three is the way I would put it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the P2 is B.
Okay. So yeah, it had a more distinctive flavor tasting it by itself. So that I guess that's probably what gave it that sort of brackish, almost salty when it was combined with the other ingredients.
Yeah. So The
Avoir.
Avoir is our
Made the
favorite by
smoothest.
far.
All
and
right.
the smoothest drink, and I think we can all declare this the winner.
Yeah. So what's
At least
interesting
in
is
these cocktails.
the ones.
That was the one I want to drink more of.
What I liked more by itself, I didn't like more in the same cocktail. I find that really interesting.
Wait, say that again.
The one that I liked more by itself. Of these three,
Yeah.
the Novo Fogo Silver I liked more by itself.
Gotcha.
But I like the Avoir better in the cocktail.
Yeah.
And I will say this about all three: they all are the Caipirinha. It's the cocktail. It isn't like one doesn't even taste like it, but this but you can tell that like the quality of the rum. As far as it goes, I mean, is the price points matched?
So,
The Pichu should be the least
The
expensive
Pichu
of the three, right?
Is it a cheap Cachaca?
Yeah.
Okay.
By U.S. standard.
You'll know it by the shrimp.
Is that the one that had the shrimp in
That's
it?
the one with the
Yeah.
shrimp on it.
Well, there you go. That's
why it was salty.
So that's where they got the shrimp from. Because this was unbelievably salty.
So if you like your Caipirinha with a side of shrimp,
Yeah.
So Ray, you're with me. Your C is the clear winner. A is good. I thought so.
No, it's great. It's C and A are similar, but C's better. It's just a cut above.
Yeah, I drink B, but it just doesn't work for me. I know we.
B tastes like an exotic port visit to me. It's not something I would drink all the time, but I find it more interesting.
Being a Navy man, be
Yeah,
careful
yeah.
what you pick up on those exotic ports.
This is true. Well, that's why we have medical on every ship.